Hello, my name is Julian. I'm of the Ecovisio team. We do environmental education here in Moldova. One method we found was this wonderful game called Keep Cool. And now in this video you will learn about the game, about the rules, and we'll also play it. So have fun with this video, and I hope it will be helpful for you to also play this game.
Ready?
Okay, the first thing I tell players about Keep Cool is that's an educational game, and it's an educational game. That means, yes, it's education, so you'll learn something, but it's also a game. So a game only works if you also want to win. And that's something very important about Keep Cool, that every player should want to win the game. And to win the game, each player has to fulfill one or their economical target and one of two political targets. Your economic target is on your board here. It says, for example, Africa, here the poor countries start with only one little factory, and to win the game you have to have 4 factories. Yeah? Europe, how many factories do you need to win the game? 10. 10, exactly. And
13
Mr. Trump?
States.
13, exactly. Who are the players? The players are 6 parties representing regions of the world. It's USA and partners, it's Europe, it's the former Soviet Union, it's the developing world, the tiger countries, and the OPEC. What is OPEC? OPEC, what does OPEC mean?
I can't remember the abbreviation, but it's the oil.
Oil, OPEC, so all producing and exporting countries.
I like OPEC.
You like? They have, by their nature, different interests, and they are trying to reach one economical target, which means a number of factories. They can be either black or green, and a political target, to which I come later. Factories are different. They are black or green. Both bring same income. It's 2 million euros per round. But the difference is the black one, they take it from the climate here, and the green ones, they take clean money from the bank. Yeah, because the black ones are based on fossil fuels, so they have high CO2 emissions, which the green ones don't. So the game works like this. Everybody has a turn in a row. The US starts as the agenda setter of climate negotiation most of the time, until now. Let's see, if they withdraw, then we have to change the rules maybe. But still they are mostly the agenda setter. So US starts. That's a rule in the game.
Ready?
So we have 6 partners or 6 parties on a table. It can be played by each one person, also in teams, 2, maybe maximum 3 persons. Our experience is that that's enough. So more than 18 players on one table should not be, attention gets lost. Everybody has a little budget in the beginning, yeah, about 3 million euros. And now we have, one turn is about 4 parts. The first part is there are climate catastrophes or phenomena, and they have to be solved by the 6 partners. If they are not solved, the game cannot go on.
It's a hurricane.
And let's see if it happens, Sasha.
Okay.
Yes, it happens. And what's the damage? -2. You have 1 protection, so the bank takes 1. When you are still in the blue zone, it's only 1 catastrophe. Whereas when you leave the blue zone, so it's yellow, red, or even orange, it's always 2 climate catastrophe cards you have to solve. So to whom the catastrophe belongs, they have to solve it, or the community has to help to solve it. Once the climate catastrophe are solved, the game can go on, and the ones whose turn is it gets money. How you get money? You look how many factories you have, and you get 2 million per factory. For example, first round, the US has 5 factories, so they get 10 million from the climate. So 10 million metal tokens are taken from the climate, and additionally 2 million for the green factory are taken from the bank. That means the additional budget for the first round for the US is 12 million euros. And now the third step is they can invest. So they can do something now with the money, and they can consider buying a black factory, buying a green factory, buying an assurance or a protection token, or start an innovation. Here in this phase, they can also hold a speech, negotiate with others. If I do that, you have to do that. So they can be an active player here, and the others should listen to them and interact with this person. The others should not, in this phase, not interact with them. So third step is investing in black factory, green factory, protection token, or start an innovation. What is an innovation? It costs you 7 million euros. You can collect this collectively. The person whose turn is it can start it and can start, okay, I'll start an innovation on green or on black technology. I'm trying to collect 7 million euros from all the table, and if it's done, everybody who has invested in this innovation can move their price stone for 2. So if the US in the first round starts an innovation on green technology and everybody pays 1 million and the US pays 2 million, then we have 7 million euros. Everybody can move their price stone by 2 to make green technology cheaper. Yeah? So an innovation pushes forward technologies and makes them cheaper. Even Africa pays for innovation.
That's a little bit embarrassing, Russia.
One more.
One more.
Yeah, if it's like that, of course.
Wow. Congratulations for this. Now you all can move your price stone for 2 out of the green. If you're done, the fourth step is climate recovery. So we have oceans and forests that absorb CO2 emissions from black factories, but not a lot. So in the blue zone you see climate recovery level 1. So that means after each turn only one metal thing is put on the climate. After that, if there's more CO2 in the atmosphere, the oceans and forests can also absorb more. That's then 2, or later than even 3. But that's still not a lot. Yeah? So we are still not in balance with our planet in the beginning. And after climate recovery, it starts again. The next player's turn is this, but before they get some income and do something, they have to solve 1 or 2 climate catastrophes. And the game goes on. How to prepare a Keep Cool game. I've prepared it already. I put on the board, I put on the factories to each region, and to every player 1 of their cards. That's the first step. And I prepared the climate. Yeah? To prepare the climate, that is the most time investment to put all these metal things up to this line here. So not use it up to all the stick, but to this line here. How many factories do you put to each partner? These numbers are here, where it says black factories, and then the start number, and the green factory also start number. OPEC has 1 black factory and 0 green factories in the beginning. I shuffled the climate catastrophe cards and also prepared the political target cards. And 1 dice, and you can start playing. Yes, you heard, as first step we have to solve a climate catastrophe or climate phenomena. What is it? That are these cards. We take the first one depending on our climate. If we are in the blue zone, it's only 1 card. If we are in yellow, orange or red, it's 2 cards. 2 phenomena to be solved. We take a card, we read it out. Oh, we have floods in Bangladesh. And we see in which zone we are. In the beginning we're in the blue zone. So the probability if it happens or not is 1 to 3. We see, oh yes, it's a 2. So unfortunately it happens. There are floods in Bangladesh. And we read out who is affected. Here it's the developing countries, and the damage is -1. So the bank takes 1 million from the developing countries. That we do have also phenomena that affect all countries. Yeah? So it's not only the developing world that suffers from world agricultural losses, but it's all. So everybody, in this case, it would be in the blue zone -1 for everybody. Each has to pay 1 million. We do have also phenomena which can be positive for the economy. Yeah? Here we have increasing rainfall in South Africa. There you're happy if that happens because it's more food. And if it's a 1 in the blue zone, or let's go to the yellow zone because that's more effective. It's +1. So here it's the target countries that get 1 million from the bank. We do have also 2 types of special climate phenomena. One is a volcano and the solar activity. These are special because they affect all, but they affect the climate. A volcano cools down the climate, so I can throw the dice 3 times and have the sum. Maybe I have 3, 3, and 3. That makes 9, and it cools down the climate. So I take 9 metal chips and put it on the climate. The exact opposite is the solar activity, whereas the climate skeptic says this is the cause of climate change. It's only the solar activity that changes the climate. Well, there's some sort of truth in it. Yes, the solar activity has some impact on the climate. The same thing like the volcano. I throw 3 times the dice, and if it's 4, 4, 4, then I have 12 metal chips, but I take them from the climate because it increases global warming. And our climate goes down. So solar activity is bad for the climate, volcano is good for the climate. So these climate phenomena are also the point where the protection token or the insurances are important. We have here the floods in Bangladesh, and we saw it would cost the developing world, the developing countries, 1 million euros. But in case they have a protection token, they bought it before, the damage is 0. So this always saves you 1 million euro for each catastrophe you face. In the beginning I told you that to win the game you need to fulfill 2 targets. The one is the economical target, so number of factories, and political target. And what is a political target? You get one of those cards to each player in the beginning, and there are 2 targets. There are 2 targets to fulfill, and you have to only fulfill one at any point of the game, and then if both targets are fulfilled, you can say, hey guys, I won. It can be at any point of the game. So how do these cards look like? This could be, for example, you have a strong lobby of environmentalists at home. So they say there must be a maximum number of black factories on the planet. In the beginning we have 15 black factories, and these guys say no, they need a maximum number of 10. So it has to, the number has to decrease to maximum 10. So to win with this environmentalists at home, you should promote green technology and also the decreasement of black factories. But you can also have the opposite. Your lobby at home, the strongest could be the oil industry, and they want a minimum number of black factories. And we look on this card here, hopefully we always have 6 players on the board, so we look here on the number 6 and we see 15. So they want minimum 15 black factories. So they want minimum the status quo to be kept like that. Depending on these cards you can play. Remember, you only have to fulfill one. That gives you a little flexibility. So if you are the environmentalist but all the other players play quite black, then it's very maybe hard to win. So you could maybe better take the other target and focus on that. Honestly, the good strategy is to first focus on the economy stupid, so focus on factories, and maybe after that only focus on your target.
Ready?
These political target cards determine which lobby is very strong at home. So you can have a political party or lobby that pushes you in one political direction. And this is kind of the salt in the soup of the game, because it makes every game a little different. So by their nature, OPEC has interest in that black factories are still on board, but they can have also the environmentalist at home. So here we have the case, OPEC has only one factory, and also Africa, and if they are hit by a catastrophe and they cannot afford it and nobody helps them, they are in the case that they have to sell the last factory. That would mean that this area is not, so humans cannot live there anymore. So they become refugees. So this player becomes a refugee, and that means this region is out of the game because there are no humans anymore. And you would go to the region that has the most factories. In this case, it would be either you go to US or to Europe, and you can decide. And then Europe has to pay 5 million euros and you will decide if you will be an active citizen in their region. So you sit there and also play. Then these 5 million euros go to your budget. Yeah. Or if you say, no, I'm out of the game, I'm totally frustrated, I'm traumatized, I don't want to have anything to do anymore with this planet and with this humanity, and so then they will have to pay to the bank. They just lose money, and you will just eat their pension funds there. Yeah. So then that's up to the refugee if they will apply in society or not. Yeah?
So what's the reason for me to take them as refugees?
They just come. You are not taking them, they just come. And they come to the richest region. And they can also, we can also split the cost. Yeah? Okay. That's the refugee role. Hope we don't get there. Keep Cool is a role play, so the one who conducts the game, it needs, if you play with players that play a first or second time, it still needs conduction. You can decide if you make it a role playing or a little less. Yeah? So you can decide you are just the US and now start playing, or you can also give him a name. Say you are Mr. Trump. Yeah? And you who are facilitating it, you are Antonio Guterres, the head of the UN. Because it's the conferences are held by the UN, and that's the UN Triple C. Giving names increases the atmosphere, can be helpful, but not always. Sometimes it's also distracting from the real game and from the real learnings. So ask the group, feel the group, and make a decision on that. Okay, welcome to New York. My name is Antonio Guterres. I'm happy that you joined the round for an extraordinary session on climate change negotiation. I would give you the floor to Mr. Trump, Mr. Macron, Mr. Xi Jinping, Mr. Putin, Mr. Buhari, and King Abdelaziz Salman to give 20 seconds some words, some inspiring words to the global community, if you want. Today here we've had a game where the 6 partners collaborated, but they also suffered a lot from climate phenomena. They went down to the orange zone, and half of the economies were destroyed by climate catastrophes. They made it up a little now again to yellow zone, and then there was a run after green factories. So they made kind of a transition from green to black. Some by design, for example, by innovations, and some by disaster, because they faced that it's black factories was not really a good idea to have more of that. In the end, we have a winner, that the Tiger countries won that game with 9 factories on board and one of their political targets fulfilled. So what you saw, what happened to us is that climate change really affected our economy. It destroyed our economy by disaster when we were in the orange zone. It destroyed also some motivation here. I see some sad faces that also kind of lost joy on this game or on life. But you managed now slowly to do this transition period in which we might in the next years come. So we are transitioning from fossil to non-fossil, and you can do it you did it a little by design with 2 innovations. That's a transition instrument, but in the rest not really strategically and not really together. Because for some players it's in the end it's boring or it's frustrating. It's especially important to have a kind of a final talk. If you have the chance also to have a longer talk, to have a reflection on what can we learn from the game, what are the takings, or even thinking about my life. What are black factories in my life? What are green factories in my life? How can we as societies locally here adapt to climate change? Oh yeah, maybe, or even planting a tree is also a protection token. Yeah, some kind of adaptation. So that's good. If you have a lot of time, if you have short time, then just collect some learnings, some feelings, and that would also help people to digest the game better. So, what are other learnings? What you take from here?
The situation in former Soviet Union, it was going very slow, as in usual real life.